Welcome back everyone, we're here for round 1 of YCS Vegas 2024. We've got Team Penguin Soldier.
Holding down the B spot, it's Calvin. And then finally, it's going to be Marcus holding down that.
Okay, I think we can skip ahead till the...
Here we have it, our waiting for this for some time. It's been a while since we've had a YCS, so it's always exciting. Well, for North America, that is. We just had the Costa Rica last weekend.
Okay, so I hope Billy's a little bit more lenient today.
Where I believe Pac, Ruben, and Kamal were able to take that one.
It's kind of back chance.
Able to, but we know.
Okay, come on, let's get to the gameplay.
I did the ping, not in the passing.
Snake Eye strategy, and if not, well, the Fire King decks are going to rise to the top again, but that's really the question this weekend. Has a player found the Kryptonite to Snake Eyes?
Kryptonite play more floodgates.
Right here in game number 1 of our first round of Swiss at the Team YCS Las Vegas. This is not only just a Team YCS, it's the biggest Team YCS to date with over 500, I think it's around 571 teams.
571 is what I wrote down.
That's huge, and you multiply that by 3, that's over 1,500 players, over 1,600 players in fact, like incredible.
Calvin's got some nice sleeves.
Play with their friends is really exciting and a fun format. We have like former World Championship head judges who took a break from judging this weekend to even participate in the tournament, like Josh Brovarnik, which is really cool.
Maybe if I did this,
because he just enjoys the format so much, he wants to get in on the action.
Which is a really amazing thing to see when you see somebody who's invested so much into the game and has been such a figurehead of the game have an opportunity to play and then actually take an opportunity to play with 2 of his friends.
Yeah, I hope we do get to see something from him later, but right now we're starting with Alejandro versus Calvin. Fire King, Snake Eye versus Voiceless Voice. You said this might be one of the key matchups
maybe
for this
if I put myself here,
apart from like maybe
you guys
like a
can
mirror
see
match, but it's cool. We didn't really get to see Voiceless Voice at the Ultimate or the Undisputed
yeah, okay, that actually works out best. That way I'm not blocking the field, all the players are life points.
I think from Calvin, or 11. Really close, gonna be able to go first, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. It's time to duel round number 1.
Okay, finally they're starting.
I think it's a huge matchup because if Voiceless Voice can really put on a show here in round 1, it might show that as the tournament progresses, it matches up well.
No, it's not. It doesn't.
Start with the card we all knew we were going to see a lot of this weekend. That's right. It's Snake Eye.
Okay, so starting with Snake Eyes Ash here. Something they're talking about is Voiceless Voice matching up well. I think Voiceless Voice is no better than any of the other decks like Vanadium or Lab. I guess it's better than Labyrinth, but honestly, Voiceless feels like it's no better than say something like Vanadium as a combo deck. Okay, cool. Draw. It doesn't really matter if you have draw because the Snake Eyes lines just play through that anyways. So he's going to use Snake Eye Ash Effect here to summon Oak. And then Oak's going to bring back 1, and then Poplar's going to put stuff in the Spell Trap Zone. I think if you don't know how to play into draw, you probably shouldn't. You probably should be looking up the lines. I mean, this deck is so expensive that it's just so expensive. You need to know how to play through things like draw. Yeah, and then he does the Oak effect, sending the Poplar and Spell Trap Zone to get Flame Burst. And Billy's saying it's a really creative play. It's not really a creative play. At this point, it's a standard line. Yeah. So now they're talking about Nibiru. And yeah, if you have draw plus Nib, a lot of players are just playing into that. They just don't have an answer for it. I wouldn't Nib here. I would wait for them to go to like Princess and like force them to have an extender. And because now he's playing Fire King Snake Eye, so he probably has a second Princess. They're talking about DD Crow. I don't know about DD Crow. I think it's probably like the 7th or 8th hand trap I choose. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. Use Flame Burst, put IP in there. Then what you do is, do you nib here? Like, maybe you wait till the end to nib, and then you like take as many resources as possible. Now, is he playing around Super Poly, or is he just going to go into Amblerwell? Okay, so he is playing heavily into Super Poly here, so if Voiceless has priority Super Poly, Calvin might lose this game. Okay, there's nothing. Okay, so doesn't get punished by Super Poly here. Oh wow, that was a quick scoop. That was a really fast game one. Yeah, so something they're discussing now is him scooping so fast and saving time. I used to do that a lot. It's fine. If you know you're not going to win, or like you just look at the board and say, yeah, I just can't play with this hand, scooping early is never a bad thing.
You found the kryptonite to these fire strategies.
Yeah, and by like rogue, you mean like just maybe a deck that like is on people's radar, but not the deck people are trying to beat.
I don't
this
think
weekend in
Voiceless is
particular.
rogue.
Yeah, it's a
but
deck.
I think it's going
It's a
to
deck
be. I
that
don't think the deck is
you've
very good.
focused on, and you believe that you've crafted to battle against the fire decks and trying taking advantage of the weakness where players might be so focused on the fire deck. Your deck might be able to sneak through there.
Definitely, and I think Voiceless is one of those strategies. I mean, yeah, it is one of those decks that needs to have that starter card, but lots of ways to access low in the beginning. But
I just
unfortunately,
don't think
not
Voiceless
finding
is a
a
very
way
good
there, 'cause,
deck.
yeah, not the strongest board. It's just like that little mini Snake Eye board through a Droll and Lockbird. But yeah, not being able to pair it with some sort of effect negation was tough there.
That's
And
why we
by
need
not
15 hand
revealing
traps
any
as
of
a
the actual
minimum now.
cards within Alejandra's deck. I mean, I think if you see Droll and Lockbird,
It could
and
be
that's the
anything.
only
just
card,
not
it
enough.
really could be just about anything.
I think I'm almost like, yeah, but yeah, Droll and Lockbird and then conceding right away could just be a bad Snake Eye hand potentially. I'm trying to think like what I would think from the other perspective because like that board's not very strong, so a deck that could
It's
play
round
that
one, so you
board
don't
would be
necessarily
like a Snake
think
Eye
you're
deck
playing
as well.
Snake
So maybe
Eyes.
you're already putting on something that's not Snake Eye, but maybe that's what your opponent wants you to think.
I wonder if you're going to do any of the Time Wizard content. That'll be fun.
Round number one.
Because if it's just Droll with no other hand interruptions, you have to assume there's 5 cards. It could be redundant copies of Droll, that's one possibility, or it's 5 engine cards, which would probably be enough to play. So it is that weird situation of, did they draw multiple Drolls? Did they draw, what exactly could this combination?
Yeah. It's tough, but now going into the side
It's
decks, I think
interesting.
with Voiceless going first, I think it's really good at going first. I don't think you're going to have too much in your side deck. And then it's just blind choices here from Calvin, I believe, on the other side. What is he going to put in?
If I'm playing second, I would definitely
usually
make
you
sure I
can,
had
hedge your bets,
talents
kinda
on the
like
list.
You have some sort of like general going second kind of card. You can take out some of the cards that are for going first in your strategy, or you can just let it rock.
I mean, there's definitely cards that he's not going to side in, I can tell you that much. Cards like Spooky Dogwood, the way they're playing, they're not going to need that.
Oh, man. Yeah, Dogwood is an interesting pick this week.
Yeah, Dogwood is.
It has like I've heard like Fire King players discussing just using it, like even in the main deck. Like you build like your board turn one, and then you like Dogwood them, and then you gain too many life points. Like, what are you gonna do?
That's a good question.
It's interesting.
We'll have to see if
It's
that
definitely
comes
an
into
option.
play at some point this weekend. But there's also plenty of other different interactions that you can use as well. Like the big ones I'm a fan of, Effect Veiler, Infinite Impermanence. I know you guys were talking about Crossout Designator earlier being a huge impact this
Crossout's
weekend.
huge this
Crossout
weekend.
Designator is one of the reasons I think I'd like to actually play the Fire King cards in my deck. That way my Crossout Designators not only hit hand interruptions, they hit mirror match cards like Snake Eyes, and also some Fire Kings as well.
It's very
Definitely.
important.
Now it looks like our duelists have side decked. I don't know if Alejandro swapped anything in. Maybe he's just going to go first with his strategy. Chances are Calvin didn't know what to put in. You could put in some generic cards.
That would be true.
Like Droll and Lockbird, maybe. But if he didn't side in cards like Droll and Lockbird, that's huge and really like gave him a bit of advantage to concealing his strategy. Because Droll pretty strong against Voiceless Voice.
It certainly can be, depending on how
It's
the deck
okay.
opens,
I
for
mean,
sure.
there are hands they can have to play around it like
But yeah,
everyone
Low
else.
does play into Droll and Lockbird pretty well since it's able to place the spell and traps as opposed to adding them to your hand. So there's a little bit of an advantage there with that. But
And then Cerberus, you don't actually have to add the monster, but you can still send the ritual spell.
Yeah,
So there
Cerberus is really
it's
cool as
sort of
well.
an additional effect, so you can still play around Droll to an extent there as well.
no.
Oh, wow. Set 3 pass. So, he could have summon limit, though. Okay, starting with the wanted in draw phase. So, I guess the next question is, does Calvin have any out to summon limit? Nice. Calvin is using double sleeves. Very important if you're playing a deck like this to have double sleeves. Yeah. Sending Ash. Activate the effect of Diabell Star. I mean, you probably have like 2 copies of Ash. You could have Engine. Now, I'm wondering if you... Do you have any copies? Okay, so now I'm wondering, is Summon Limit set? It's pretty much simple options at this point. Just wait and flip Summon Limit. Yeah, any level 1 fire. It's really cool. Yeah, it's really cool. Yep. Okay, there's Fire King card. No, this is a very standard line. So this is a very...
So here Alejandro is thinking he's got
So he's such popular, I was thinking he could have started out.
Trap cards that I
Okay,
think could
Droll.
potentially be activated, but instead he's using Droll and Lockbird.
I mean, that's fine.
Playing a Droll and Lockbird deck.
That's fine.
We haven't seen any activation from any other card just yet from him.
I'm
But
just
Droll is
so
a strong one,
sure
especially
you
when
should
they're
have
adding Ponix off the Snake Eye Ash,
some
'cause they're not going
form
to get
of
that extender onto
Summon
the
Limit,
board from it, and Ponix is pretty useless under Droll and Lockbird.
Like,
So maybe potentially a little bit better of a
how do you
Droll
not
than in
have...
the first game.
Oh yeah, it's also cutting off his draw there from the Wanted, putting back the original.
How do you not have like
I think he just
Summon
said
Limit here?
Battlefield. Wow.
Attack.
And this is without the field spell.
Yeah,
Without Temple.
Words out of my mouth. I was literally about to say
Okay,
that.
didn't
Doesn't have the
expect
Divine
that.
Dual Snake Eye,
No.
only getting in there for 800. It becomes 1900, like a formidable monster with the field spell.
I know.
And then one set spell in trap card into one of the zones. Maybe it's like a copy of Infinite Permanence. He's trying to catch him on to stop something. But that's always dangerous because then they could have Imperm to shut off your Imperm.
Is he
I don't
gonna
mind that
active-
trade as much though, using your, because if you have 3 step spell track cards, you might have multiple imperms, so you'll be able to like trade your imperm for your opponent's imperm.
Which isn't terrible.
Yeah, it's not the worst thing.
It just depends on what spell and trap you're trying
Still
to stop.
passed.
Nothing from Alejandro.
Maybe he has another Droll and Lockbird in his hand in his Droll and Lockbird team deck.
I
No,
would put
no.
money on it that there's another copy.
Oh
I
no!
don't
Did he?
always draw Droll and
Oh,
Lockbird,
this
but when
is
I do,
this is
it's at
sad
least
for the
in twos.
voiceless player. Just
So
draw
Calvin's going to
pass.
start things off with that legend. Wait for it. Dairy,
Oh,
Fire King
God.
Ponix to the field, and that's going to be able to add
The
a Fire
Barney
King spell trap from the
Stinson
deck to the
reference.
hand. Usually, at the beginning of the format, people were playing a lot of Fire King Skyburn, and now it's mainly just Sanctuaries and Island. But some people have gone and just cut the Sanctuary as well.
The Sanctuary gives you that face-up card on the field though, so that your
I don't think Sanctuary is a
Simple
bad card to
Spoils
still
always
play because
resolves
it
with a
doesn't
face-up
actually
target
lose
that's
like
in
Droll
very
or
easy
anything.
send that's a
The
send that's
problem I
already
have
sort of
is
floated
the
into
Fire
field
King
spell for
cards are
you,
just
so
so
I think
bad to
it's
draw in general.
going to continue to see play the single copy of Sanctuary with Island. He might have cited it out though. That is something that you do sometimes see
I
for
have
players
seen
that are
that.
going second.
Yeah,
That's interesting. Obviously, he didn't know what Alejandro was playing, so
probably had that,
you know
yeah.
when you're siding, it's not like you're sitting there targeting these. You don't know what you have to side in quantity-wise. So I'm interested in what his side patterns would have been.
Definitely. I mean, I definitely think a Poplar came out as well, but you see him use the Ponix first to get the Island out of the deck because he probably only play one
No,
copy
I don't think
and
a
then goes
Poplar
for
would
that
have come
wanted
out.
draw after thinning the deck out. That's what's
Why would
really
a
good about
Poplar
this
come
deck
out?
is, well, for me, Heat Soul, Deco Tiger Heat Soul, you're able to thin your deck out completely and then start drawing cards. You can Wanted, Heat Soul into a Heat Soul, draw 3
No,
cards.
yeah, it sends its cost.
Like once it's your opponent's turn, and then you can probably
Yeah,
draw
so
into
definitely
some of
sends
those
its
hand
cost. So
interruptions.
fun
And then
fact, you
usually
can
when you make
actually
that
cold
play,
buy it.
you also got a Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf effect somewhere along the way as well. So you also added back from the graveyard with that effect.
Oh,
'cause you bring-
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm just thinking it's almost like you get 4 cards because you get that additional add back.
And if you also do like that Doolittle Chimera combo, you could add
Oh, yeah,
another
this is-
card
this is to
back.
get-
There's just so much
So
resource management
in this
deck, and it's a lot of fun,
scenario,
but
Calvin
it
could have
looks
gone
like
with Link
Snake Eye
Reaver
Ash
first, so
effect.
that way he. Oh,
It's
there's
like
the
just
summon
Snake
limit.
Eye Oak,
I was waiting for
and
that.
that's what we meant by summon limit. This is summon number 2.
This was one of the cards last turn that I said Alejandro may have set after he used the Droll and Lockbird. I guess Droll and Lockbird was sufficient to stop
didn't
Calvin's
actually
turn,
speak
so no
about
point
that.
in activating Summon Limit. The problem with Summon Limit is you're also going to be locked under it, so you need to be playing a strategy that can survive.
Summon
off
limit's
2
not an
summons,
issue
which
for
Voiceless Voice actually,
Voiceless.
to an extent, can do that.
You can at least get low in Skull Guardian.
You get low in
field.
Skull
But
Guardian,
then
you're
low can't
fine.
revive itself back from the graveyard because it would be the third summon. You'd have to do it on
a different low.
Yeah, you'd have to tribute. That's what I'm saying. But if he has low, it already would have hit the field. So he's lowless right now.
No, that's not where you want to be as a voiceless.
His voiceless deck is lowless.
Yeah, you're okay with not having a voice.
So,
but once you don't have a low, then you start getting worse.
so
doesn't
this
have
is
a low
why I
or
don't think
voice.
Summon Limit is as powerful in this matchup because
the prayers
he
of the
has
voiceless.
access to the field spell
Oh,
island.
man. I do
So
love,
I
like,
would
the
activate
concept of
island
voiceless.
here
I think the
and
Skull
use island
Guardian,
to pop,
what is his full name? Skull Guardian
to
Protector.
pop your
the voiceless
monster.
voice is a really cool
Search
looking card. And the
Kieran.
fact that he's a protector, like, you just
And then
imagine
what you
low
do is you
praying
get
to, like, their
Kieran.
Guardian Angel.
So that means on the
Guardian
follow-up, you're able to
and
get
then Skull
Kieran
Guardian,
plus Garunix.
Guardian Angel comes down and protects her. I just love that.
I think he might actually be reading his Radiance right now. No, I guess not. He still
Radiant.
might have Radiance set there. It is one of the presumable spell
It
trap
is
cards
a
that he could have
voiceless
set on that
trap. It
opening
is
turn.
And
probably
Radiance lets you trade any card for a voiceless monster, I believe. I don't know if you have to trade back a
Yeah, it's
ritual or
definitely
not, but
voice-
it does help you
Radiance
get
of the
to
voiceless
a voiceless
voice.
voice card. You have to shuffle one light ritual, warrior
Man,
dragon.
it sucks to draw one of
Or
them.
one ritual spell, so it requires you to have a certain card to actually be a searcher, but definitely not a card you want to draw. You did call it. It is Radiance of the Voiceless Voice.
Radiance of the
Is
voice.
he can use the effects to exchange one of a ritual in his hand for something live.
Ooh,
Nope.
Ash Blossom.
So
And
there
he
is
gets
why
Ash.
he ditched that Ash
Yep,
Blossom.
so
at the
he did have a
beginning,
second
because he
Ash
had
in
that
hand.
second copy.
This one's not that bad for Alejandro because under Summon Limit, I presume Calvin's not really going to be able to do much. Now, I will also note that that is in the imperm column. So in terms of setting a spell and trap card that opening turn for Calvin in what was presumably a 1 out of 3 chance,
He picked a good one.
he did pick a good one. But he's now going to be able to activate Radiance on his own turn. Presumably, he had the card in his hand that he was wanted to shuffle back. So having access to Radiance on his own turn could open things up. Now, one thing here, though, is he's going to lose the ability to special summon low back from the graveyard, right? Because if he used it here, he'd be able to summon a voiceless voice from the deck, presumably something like low, and then on his turn, low would already be on the field. So then by tributing low on the field, you would be able to revive it back from the graveyard because the revival from the graveyard would
So
be the
now,
second summon.
If
So this Ash
you're
Blossom is a little bit
Calvin, what you
inconvenient.
need to do here
that
is
makes
you
a lot
need
of
to
sense.
go
It
for the
is-
Fire King
It does
Island.
stop him from, at least for the turn, but he's going to be able to do it again. But yeah, I think that's the key part is not
Like, you
having
legitimately
having
have
keep
to
the
go
low
for
summon
Fire
on
King
his turn
Island
as
here.
opposed to doing it during his opponent's turn.
Ideally, he would end this turn with low on his own field, and then tribute that low for Skull Guardian, and then bring back the low, and then go under the Skull Guardian protection effect.
Yep, and you get 2 low searches of that as well.
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
always
Now,
nice.
Then
you
you're
could
just-
go this.
You're playing on both players' turns. That's actually an interesting interaction now that I'm kind of seeing it. Summon limit with the voiceless interactions with Radiance, being able to play in both players' turns and kind of always stay under that 2 summon limit, but then also still really play
a
your
2
strategy.
summon limit.
Definitely. And now it looks like another Diabell Star's coming down that got added off wanted, sending a different Diabell Star to the graveyard.
That's interesting. Multiple copies. That's not something
It's
that's
not really
across
that
the board.
interesting. I think
I
it
play
should be
3.
I
standard
think
now.
Calvin is as well.
You need the consistency.
I love that card. I wanted it. Mainly for me, it's when I see other cards in my hand that aren't like engine cards. I'm like, well, this could be the 2nd or 3rd Diabell Star. Because you feel like if you can get to Snake Eye Ash, you're pretty golden. But now it looks like Calvin is finally going to activate that Fire King Island that he added off.
I think
that
he should have
legendary
activated it
Fire King
a
Ponyx.
lot sooner. Unless he
Fire
has a
King
Kieran in
Island
hand.
effect to
If he's got
destroy,
Kieran in hand,
to
that's so
add.
good.
Looks like an
No.
Ash from his hand. Snake Eye Ash.
See, I question why
when
you
I
didn't
heard
do
him
this like
say
last
Ash
turn.
from
Yeah, I
his
was
hand,
about
like,
to
is it a 3rd Ash Blossom?
Yeah, maybe that's why he discarded it on the first turn so freely.
Didn't even think about it. No hesitation.
Looks like he searched the original Sinful Spoils.
See, I
And
question
the
why
Fire
Calvin
King
didn't
Island
use
was
the
also
key-
at Kieran.
use
This
the
leads me to
island
believe he
effect
already
last
has
turn.
Sacred Fire King Garunix in the hand.
It would make no sense to summon Garunix here.
Yeah, because even if you weren't able to summon it because of summon limit, putting it in the graveyard is still valuable for future turns.
Just
Yeah,
have
so
it.
that's
And
why,
you
like,
also
my
can
whole
out
thought
summon
process
limit.
here
Yes.
is,
As soon as you're
why
able to
didn't
summon
you use Fire King
looks like he
Island
was just
last
willing
turn
to
to
hold the Kieran in the
destroy the
hand,
Snake Eyes Ash
attacks with
in
Snake Eye
hand
Oak, attacks with Diabell Star.
to get to Kieran, and then the follow-up turn
That summon limit giving him some problems.
you would have
but
been
pretty
able
much
to
Calvin's
get
just hoping,
to
like, this is
Kieran,
fine as long as,
destroy,
Alejandro isn't able
and then
to get his
pop the
strategy
summon
on
limit.
line just yet.
So that's why I think in the Fire King
So he's
list
taking
you
2
don't
attacks from Oak and
have to
Diabell
use
Star, so
back
it's
row
like
removal. It's not as important.
7-14.
Whereas in the Snake Eyes pure
39.
build, it's very important to use back row removal.
Main phase 2, he's going to use his 2nd summon here.
Oh,
Link away
no. Not, oh,
Nightmare
Nightmare
Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Nightmare
Okay,
Phoenix. He's playing a
interesting.
copy of Nightmare Phoenix.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was pretty popular at the UUDS last weekend, but that's going to be met by
Okay,
infinite permanence.
that's fine.
Alejandro hanging on to this summon limit for dear life right now. But yeah, Nightmare Phoenix, it has a lot of cool applications. You can summon it next to Promethean Princess and get that extra draw. but it's definitely good for getting you out of sticky situations. For me, like the card that is being played over is Access Code Talker usually. It's one of those like fluctuations. I know Nightmare Phoenix is my 15th or 16th card in my extra deck right now, along with Underworld Goddess is another one I try.
Oh yeah, that one's very important. It's unfortunate he couldn't Kieran because of summon limit. Typically, a red infinite impermanence.
That's what I don't understand.
Usually the
They're
out to
finally
that,
talking
or
about the Kieran. Why
counterplay to
wouldn't
that
you
at
just
least.
Kieran
That
here?
might have been why he even grabbed the Kieran, like, because that's just like natural, like knowing like that's smart. That's a smart line. But unfortunately,
summon limit. I mean, and here we go.
There
Looks
we
like
low, low.
finally.
The prayers of the voiceless voice.
And you're gonna get
This is
impounded.
going-
This is I don't know. Ooh, this is.
That doesn't feel good.
Ooh, he's realizing he's like, I was glad I set this here originally.
If he does use this infinite permanence, it will cut off the summon limit, but only during Alejandro's turn. But yeah,
That's okay.
it
Fire
doesn't
King
stop
plays
the
during
condition
both
for
players'
accounting for
turns.
Ultra Either, I don't think.
But the
it
thing
will
is,
stop
I
him
would be
from
okay
adding
with
a
this because I
voiceless
think
voice card from the
Alejandro's
deck
probably
to
got
the hand.
nothing. He
He
hasn't
still
played a
has the
single
trap
card
as
at this
well,
to this
I
point.
believe.
He used the trap to get the low this turn.
Oh, he
Remember,
did?
because
Okay, I
the
didn't-
previous turn was used. Ash Blossom stopped it.
Okay.
I'm really hoping he has something here to really take advantage of the fact that he's off of summon limit, but I don't think he does based on the mannerisms. Okay,
Yeah,
well,
we
certainly he doesn't.
No, impermanent is under this column. No, summon limit. I impermanence you.
Oh, this is still during his turn. Oh, he summoned the low during Calvin's turn.
Oh, what?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, well, never mind. The infinite permanence is
Oh,
huge.
wait. I thought he.
So it looks like he is going to continue.
Oh
to
my
play
god.
it
Yep.
now.
At this point, okay, it's during his turn. Makes more
And now
sense.
he's going
Yep.
to
Game
1
over.
For 1 for Snake Eye Ash. Snake Eye Ash is going to add Poplar effect.
Divine Temple.
We'll add Divine Temple. It's always awkward adding the temple after you already have Fire King Island.
It's
up
really
a
not.
little
If you have
bit.
Nightmare Unicorn, it's fine. I mean, it's not a bad thing to
Let's see
read.
where he
Like,
goes to next. He has his
I guess
Nightmare
Alejandro
Phoenix. He
knows
has,
he's lost the game,
plenty of monsters to link
but there's plenty
with
of
here.
time, so it's like I wouldn't really care about time as much. But you should have the Snake Eyes cards like pretty much like off on
So it
memory
looks like
right now
Calvin
what they all do.
taking some time to look at his extra deck to figure out where to best navigate this. I mean, you want to make sure somewhere down the line you get Promethean Princess in the graveyard. How can you best use it? The Flameburge effect.
He's gotten hit.
Flameburge is 1 for 1, I think. So that would be
Flameburge
the
was
graveyard
used
to bring
because of summon
back
limit.
with the princess if you so
Yes, that's fine.
chooses. Okay, it looks like we have an update on our table, and it looks like all of Team Penguin Soldier won game 1. That's
Okay.
great. Because after each game, they always like kind of shout down the line, like, I got game 1,
Yeah.
I got game 2. So you hear everyone say they got game 1, that's a big morale boost.
I didn't hear it actually. It was very voiceless across the teams. I didn't really hear any back and forth.
Yeah, the players
Very
audio
voiceless
was a
across-
little low, but that's okay. No pun intended on the low on the field, but
They're voiceless. It's just we can't
hear
stop.
'em.
What are you getting
But they do
here?
have a voice. But
Yeah.
Snake Eyes
the
Ash.
Flameburge
Okay,
going to the graveyard with
interesting.
original. One of my favorite cards is Sin with original because you get that one monster from the deck, and you're also going to bring back 2 more. But this is where Alejandro could have something like Nibiru the Primal Being, but I don't think that's like a card that's very popular in Voiceless, potentially, just because it's so field reliant. But the impact that Nibiru has in this format, it's almost hard not to play it, even if it disrupts your
Yeah,
own
you
strategy.
everyone
Especially
should
if
be
they're
playing
Lockbird,
15
which
hand
we
traps
definitely know
if
that he is.
any
He was
at
playing a
all.
drone Lockbird team deck for quite a while.
Yes.
If you're going to play Droll, you might play.
You can
a card
argue
like Nibiru
12,
as well.
but that's about it.
We see him add the 3rd copy of Snake Eye Ash to the hand. Oh,
here.
Okay.
and there it is.
Nibiru.
That's huge. He needed this. Being able to Nibiru after the Flamebridge has been used is enormous because now there's no fire monster on the field. We do know Calvin has the Kieran in his hand, so if he has another fire monster,
No,
he can somehow
he's
get the
put
Kieran onto the field.
No, Kieran
and
is not.
then
Unless he
have
added
the princess
another
still be
Kieran,
online, and the princess
he
destroys the
destroyed
he'll have a
Kieran
destruction
in
effect
its
along-
engrave.
as well as bringing back a monster. But like this is really what comes down to, like not getting that Garunix. I don't know. I
Which
just
we
always
presume is maybe in his hand. It's hard to gauge that because we commented on the interaction with Infinite Impermanence, but I don't know if he did that intentional or not.
I'm going to assume so. It seemed intentional, but it was an excellent heads-up play that I didn't see, so I'll assume it was intentional.
Man,
We've
I
seen
don't
a
think Billy's
second
got it
one to draw
anymore.
resolve. That doesn't happen too often.
Oh, this is huge. Now Alejandro gets his turn with low in the graveyard. So
I think there were
it'll be
definitely
interesting to
mistakes
see
made in this game.
how he can get.
Prosperity. So
All
you
right,
should be
that's not
going.
bad.
You
A lot
should
of
be
prosperity
definitely
is a
playing.
great starter card.
2 Ash are
I know
gone.
a
We're going
bunch
to
of
see a
players were
3rd
begging for this card
Ash
to be forbidden a
Blossom.
while ago, and then it's really format dependent whether you're going to see it or not, and deck dependent more so than anything. Like in certain decks, it's like, wow, this is the best card ever. In other decks, it's unplayable.
I think it really felt overpowered when you could return those banished face down cards underneath Rise Heart, that's where it felt a little unusual.
Yeah, definitely. That's where it felt
Probably getting
really
Saphira
good.
here.
Being able to
I would
add-
imagine
getting all those bonus
Saphira.
effects
Yes,
that are going-
destruction effects, protection effects, whatever you need.
But then
Shuffle
is a
back.
Rise Heart the problem?
Well, that's what I'm saying. With that card banned, Potter's Prosperity, I mean, we've seen it certainly, but it's not as dominant and
Definitely.
featured in these strategies. Especially because decks like Wanted, or the Snake Eye has the inherent drawing effects.
I mean, I
So
would
if Herald, we see
care
how
too
Potter's
much
Prosperity- I
about
love
that. I'm
this
just gonna
card.
speed
It's
it up a
known for being
little
good original
bit.
centric strategies, right? But we use completely differently
Yes.
in this one. It's more used to summon the
Okay, so he took Saphira. He's gonna use Saphira effect. And then he's gonna get spelled. Reading Ghost Spell. Yes, there is text on that card. It does allow it to be Ghost Spelled. We'll get the. So for those of you who don't know what Saphira does, it says you can discard this card, send one ritual spell from your deck to the graveyard. Then you can add one light ritual monster, warrior, or dragon from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So it's both Ash Blossomable and it is also bellable. Okay, so now we're getting to play. It's going to destroy the summon limit. Oh wait, yeah, this is just enough damage here. And that is game over. Well, that's it. Do we have this? Do we have any of the other players going, or do we just get to see them? They should. I'm just wondering if they can. Okay, so it doesn't look like we've got any more of the actual competitors playing. It just looks more like we're gonna have just the commentary now to tell us what's happening.
Game to us, these are going to be our A players. We can kind of. I see him looking down the line, asking the teammates how it's going while his opponent is comboing off. So maybe he's not looking too good there for game number 2. So he's kind of checking like a to.
Have turned in his favor with that Zelantis.
Then he does the Promethean Princess, destroys it, brings back
Okay.
Summon Raging Phoenix, and that's going to attack for game. And Team Penguin Soldier is going to win the round.
Yeah, that is going to.
It is game over.
We
Okay,
can't really see.
so Team Penguin Soldier wins with Fire King Snake Eyes versus Voiceless. Okay, I'll see you guys back for round 2.